founder and CEO of Renovo, a Silicon Valley automotive software company focused on building products that enable the global commercialization of Level 4 autonomous vehicles. He has built his career taking disruptive technologies to market. His previous roles include pioneering the camera phone at Lightsurf, creating groundbreaking consumer products at IDEO, and building massively scalable global software systems at Verisign. Chris received his degree in mechanical engineering from Carnegie Mellon, where he designed and built autonomous vehicles and exoplanet rovers. Please join me in welcoming Chris.
Awesome. So, Sean, thank you. Thanks to all the organizers today. We're super excited to be here. Real quick question. How many people here under 30 years old? All right, now raise your hands if you're sad. Keep them up. Keep them up if you're sad that Fry's is closing. Or do you care? So I'm definitely old because it really hurts me. Like when I first came here in '97, I was like, wait, you can go to a place, you can buy a motherboard, you can try it out, and then take it back if it doesn't work. This is great. And I think that doesn't matter to anyone anymore. So, all right, so thanks again for having us here. We're going to talk a little bit about platforms, hit on some of the themes that Raj was talking about, but really what I want to do is meditate a little bit about how when you're disrupting these things, you kind of feel like you know what's going to happen, you sort of think you know what you're going after, but the truth sometimes is very, very different. And the actual winners turn out to be not who you expect them to be, and it's really hard to figure that out when you're in it. Of course, hindsight's 20/20, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Just a little bit intro for my company, Renovo. We build software infrastructure for AVs. We work with both Level 2 and Level 4 vehicles. Level 2 vehicles really solve the immediate safety issues with people not paying attention and hitting stuff. AAA has some stats, 30 to 40% of fatalities would be solved if we had Level 2 ADAS systems. The RAM Corporation did an amazing study about a year ago saying that pushing this stuff out in the market could save as many as 500,000 lives. These are US numbers alone. There's over 1.1 million people killed in road accidents every single year globally. But Level 4 brings the economic benefits that Raj was talking about, and it's going to be something that we talk about in this as well. So our software platform allows our customers to develop their technology, to roll it out, and to operate it at scale, and to continuously use the data that comes off these vehicles in real time to validate, to improve, and ultimately to monetize at scale. So it's an exciting space. We're located here in Silicon Valley and love cars. So I graduated in 1996. This is Carnegie Mellon in 1992. Just to embarrass myself, this is me in 1992. I wore a hat because, you know, you're a jerk when you're young. And so I want to point out something kind of cool. I blanked it out. Did you guys know, what was your student ID when you were at Carnegie Mellon? When I was there, it was my social security number. Who put social security numbers on your card? And we showed it to everybody. It's just, anyway. So, but Carnegie Mellon was a place that was filled with contradiction. It was like this amazing space where all this technology was, and then sort of a lot of stupidity, and that was fun, right? As a young person, you got to experiment, you got to kind of explore. We did a lot of explorations. We found the steam tunnels off of a work belt. Of course, as you all know, the steam tunnels do not exist, and you're expelled if you enter them. And so we totally did not go into the steam tunnels according to the official record. But this is kind of the fun of CMUs. It was almost like you were hacking the university that you were going to on a regular basis, and whether you're throwing monitors down, architects leave, or whatever it was you were doing to kind of pass the time, CMU was a place that really encouraged independent thinking, and you learned as much from the students as you did from the professors. But just three professors that I wanted to highlight that meant a lot to me when I was there. Glenn Sinclair, who taught us about safety factors by shaking up a soda can and then slowly filing down with sandpaper until it sprayed all over the front few rows, and then measured the thickness so they could figure what the safety factor was. Amazing guy. Tom Shee, who is numerical methods, really brought me together with hardware and software, and a very philosophical and interesting guy. And finally, John Wiss, who we lost this year. John ran the engine laboratory in the mechanical engineering department at Carnegie Mellon, but more importantly, he really got involved with students, sponsoring people to do stuff. He was the sponsor for the SAE Micro Baja, which we did for 4 years. That was an autonomous vehicle competition, which CMU won all 4 years that we were there. And I only found out after about the third year that John was funding it out of his own pocket. And so this is a guy that was just really, really invested in students and helping people learn and explore. And so a great loss, but reminds us of how great people are at Carnegie Mellon. Finally, one other person that I really, really want to highlight, Red Whitaker. We would not have field robotics, probably as a field, certainly not at Carnegie Mellon without this man. An absolute force of nature, created the FRC in this part of the Robotics Institute with the sheer force of his mind, created parts of CMU that were then grafted off by certain self-driving car companies that will remain nameless, but overall, Red was a person that really believed in robotics as a way to transform, and just look at the 2007 DARPA Challenge. Selesky, Urmson, Raj, all these people were on his team. So this is we would not be talking about self-driving. Don't kid you. Sebastian Thrun, before he was stolen by Stanford, worked for Red. So this is kind of the godfather of self-driving and field robotics in general. So, and a huge influence on me when I was there. I worked at the Robotics Institute for about 1.5 years, working on exoplanet rovers. But in between robotics and mechanical engineering, which is my degree, I also kind of got drawn in by software. I was CCon in Wien. We used really cool computers like these, the DEC 5200, totally awesome. I may or may not have brought down AFS with a Butler worm at some point in my tenure there. But more importantly, this is where Lycos was built. This is where the originator of Deep Thought was built. This is where, but that's fine. Unfair advantage. That's what entrepreneurship is all about. So, but after this, I really wanted to. After designing other people's products for 4 years, I really wanted to get operational, and so I joined a company that was on top of the O'Neill Surf Shop in Santa Cruz called Lightsurf. Probably a company you've never heard of before, but our CEO invented the camera phone. And this is something that we worked with handset vendors and wireless carriers to popularize. And so that culminated in the launch of the Sanyo 5300, which is the first camera phone in the United States. We did the first video messaging. We did the first inter-carrier. And this was something that we were really proud of. And even though the camera really sucked in the beginning, the first ones were sort of QVGA or VGA, we saw that the spontaneity, the always-on capability, and the ability to share instantaneously was going to transform the phone. We just didn't realize that it was going to continue to transform a lot of other things. And so this grew, made a lot of money for Sprint. We were generating probably about $1 billion a year off this platform for Sprint. We worked with Verizon and a bunch of other carriers globally. And what, of course, happened was that this digital photography, mostly driven by smartphones, or initially flip phones and smartphones, completely destroyed the existing film market. And it's not just, so that kind of ends at 2011. Just some stats right now. Digital is there's 1 billion uploads to Facebook and 1 billion uploads to Google every single day. The vast majority of those are from mobile devices. Handsets account for more than 85% of pictures taken, period, globally. There are more people that have never used a camera in their lives that have also used a smartphone. It is essentially dominates everything. About 250 million hours of video taken, and this is more than half of these from mobile. And if you think about the internet is kind of like a giant storage medium for this stuff. And the vast majority of the transmission of the internet is for this stuff. So this was really big, and we thought, this was an impressive business. We sold the business in 2005. Something happened just after that. We thought, hey, this is kind of the end, this is where it's going to go, but this was actually just the beginning, because there was something that had been laying sort of parallel to this, which was the open standards of the internet. And the mobile networks were not open in 2005. These were walled gardens, used things called WAP, all these horrible things that hopefully you'll never have to think about in your entire life. But here, there was this thing that didn't quite work on a tiny little flip phone, but it worked on this. And all of a sudden, you had this convergence of an open platform that was always on, that had a lot of power and a camera connected to it. And that's when things really changed. And you had journalism, and you had just completely distributed information gathering and sharing. And so when the analysts were looking at this, back in 2005, they were saying, well, is this going to benefit the people that fulfill images and things like that? Is it going to benefit the handset vendors? Is it going to benefit the wireless carriers? Someone's going to win, right? Well, these people are going to win. No, they all lost to this. All of the value creation of that. Cell phones, smartphones is a zero margin business outside of Apple. They're the one kind of weird corner of this, and by volume, they're quite small. This is where the actual revenue was created.
My company was sold for about $300 million, Instagram for 3 times that, WhatsApp for 16 times that, Snapchat trades at about 22 billion, Twitter over 30. These are the things that actually won. And all the hardware and the networking and the imaging and the algorithms and all that stuff, almost worthless. Completely commoditized. All the value in the information and the ability to share. So this is kind of interesting. And it brings up the question, what the hell does that have to do with self-driving? And so I think Raj painted a really great picture for the ways that self-driving and electrification and connectivity and other technologies are going to transform the infrastructure of transportation. And I think he's absolutely correct. And I agree with his call to do this just to save ourselves from choking ourselves to death in cities. The Rethink X, by the way, if you don't quote Rethink X in a deck on AV, you're losing out. So Tony TEBA from Stanford doing some of the greatest thinking on this space. Transportation as a service. This is exactly what Raj was talking about. And when you kind of look at this as a global opportunity, there's 24 trillion passenger miles, about half of that in these big, developed countries. And at 25 cents a mile, it's a $5 trillion opportunity. Just to put that in context, the entire advertising, not Google's online, all of advertising is less than $1 trillion. All of smartphones is less than $1 trillion. So this is why the VCs are going crazy. But that 25 cents is quite interesting because, Uber, I should have done a Lyft logo here, but Uber, $2.50 a mile. When you look at Tony TEBA's stuff, the actual transportation goes really, really low. That's his high case. The small cases, the costs are under 10 cents. So let's think about that for a second. Like Raj said, the average trip in a big city is somewhere between 2 to 4 miles. By the way, anyone know what the average speed through the core of Manhattan is? 4.9 miles an hour. Isn't that awesome? So what this means is that your trip in Manhattan, let's give you the 4-mile trip, which takes you almost an hour, generates a value of less than $1. Let's think about that for a second. The transportation is less than $1. So who wins in this space? Is it the ride-hailing networks? Is it the manufacturers? Is it the people that own and operate the fleets? I don't know if any of them win. Or a better way to put it is, I don't know if the value creation on that platform is as big as the much larger platform that's being created right now. These things are powerful supercomputers. People say iPhone with wheels. I think it's a little trivial. But think about it. Kilowatts of processing power, hundreds of sensors. All the sensors in your smartphone cost $20. There are thousands of dollars of sensors. There are high-precision cameras and LiDAR, radar, sonar, microphones pointed in all directions outside and inside, looking at everything that's happening 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So let's think about some really interesting things. It knows where you're going. So you're going to go to Home Depot and get a hammer. And remember, your trip costs less than $1. What's Lowe's going to do? They're going to pay for that trip. A keyword on Google, some of them are $50, $60 a keyword. These guys can zero out your transportation for less than $1. So the advertising in the space and what is even the transportation is going to quickly diminish to what is the offer? What is the purpose of the trip? Why are you doing it? When do you need to get there? How much slack time do you have? What do you like, Pete's versus Starbucks? This advertising and demand generation network is going to be off the hook. Your captive content, you're going to spend 30, 40 minutes in this thing, maybe an hour if you're unlucky in Manhattan going from one end to the other. You better believe people are going to subsidize your trip to get you to try out Netflix, to check out the latest thing on some other content network. This is going to be huge, and it's one of the main reasons why companies like Apple would really care a lot about what the experience inside of an AV is, because their fastest content is the fastest growing segment of all of Apple's revenue today. Why deliver packages when they know where you're going to be? Why not just put the Zappos box? I mean, Amazon's already delivering packages to your own trunk of your car. So why have any infrastructure delivery? If you're doing this, they know where you are, and they can put the things in the car that you're going to go into. Our friend Danny Stillian at IDEO explored, as Raj had in his deck, about what is the workplace. Again, if transportation is $1, and you're sitting in there conducting a meeting. I mean, what's a sort of a WeWork or something like that? $50 an hour, $100 an hour? Remember, the transportation's $1, so that's free. So this is worth way, way more than the transportation itself. And the services you sell on top of this, even more. SoulCycle class costs about 34 bucks. Why not do your SoulCycle on your hour-long trip from one end to the other? Why not think about these things as places for wellness and meditation and all sorts of other things? And then one of my favorite ones, Raj is talking about, I touched on this with high-speed lanes. I think there's going to be a really interesting question about asphalt neutrality. What if you can pay to go faster? There are already cities, Singapore, Dubai, and others, that are experimenting with congestion pricing and demand pricing on a per-meter basis. Now, their argument is we can rebalance our networks the same way you do with a digital network by optimally using the circuits. But you can quickly see how this could become an upcharge. And there's already people that are talking about doing this, particularly around big sporting events, all sorts of other things. So this is another area where the revenue generated from upcharging will probably be worth more than transportation. And then finally, probably the most significant upside to this, and the one that gives me the kind of the most interesting thought process, is that these things are like little low-flying satellites. They're always on, and they're always gathering data. Not just gathering data, but they already have image detection, object recognition, and image tracking, object tracking systems on board as part of their AV stack. The AV stack subsidizes this massive surveillance system. There's a lot of upside to that. There's also a lot of potential downside to that. And so what we do with these sorts of systems is really important. But you put a few thousand of these in a city like Manhattan, and you basically see the entire city evolve every 10 to 15 minutes. You put 10,000, now you get it every 2 to 3 minutes. So just think about that, right? This is the largest, most sensitive, most data-hungry, and most data-rich IoT network that the world will ever see. There's no amount of Logitech like cameras you can stick in windows of your storefront that's ever going to come close to what these systems build. So, huge opportunity, huge questions about privacy, data regulation, things like that. And I think there's probably hundreds of other things. And so that's really what I wanted to talk about today. Is I think it is natural for us to think, who are the existing businesses that will benefit or be disrupted from this platform change? But my point is, I think it's a much larger platform than most people think, and a much larger dislocation of value. So when you think about building your next company, or you think about transportation, I urge you to think beyond just the sort of first order effects here. There are really, really large opportunities to be had. It's going to take a lot of innovation, and the people that own these networks are not going to, kind of open them up and let you do whatever you want. But through standardization, through innovation, through demonstration, we can make a big impact in this space. So don't think about AVs and transport. Think about this as the next mobile computing platform. Think about the things that have happened before and how big a change it was, and think really big when you think about disrupting this network. So anyway, final plug for us. We believe in open platforms. We believe in solving really, really tough problems. We're building a diverse and innovative team. We're headquartered down in Campbell. I know, it's exciting, Campbell. But if you've never been down there, you can actually afford an apartment, so it's really cool. And we're working with a number of companies, both big and small, embedding our technology, but ultimately trying to get to a point where this platform that we see can come to scale, and we can start building some of these interesting businesses on top of that. Thank you very much for your time.